What's going on, everybody? It's Charles. Today we have a 2016 GTI with a dead miss on cylinder 2. What we're going to be doing today on this vehicle is diagnosing why this has a dead miss. Now, we've already done some basic tests on the car. We confirmed that it is in fact cylinder 2 misfiring with our scan tool. We also went ahead and removed the ignition coils and swapped them to different cylinders. The misfire always stayed on cylinder 2. We went ahead and did the same thing with the spark plugs, and the misfire stayed on cylinder 2. So next step is going to be removing all of the coils and all of the spark plugs, and we're going to be doing a standard plain old compression test. Now, there's other ways you can do this compression test if you want to use pressure transducer in the cylinder and scope it out. Totally cool with that. Before doing that, though, we need to remove all the spark plugs and all the ignition coils and make sure that we have a good battery charge. All right, here is the compression tester that we're going to be using today. We have our gauge, we have our hose, and the quick connect right here. And all we really need to do is thread this in where the spark plug goes. It's threaded down at the bottom. We'll thread it in and hook our gauge up, crank the engine until our gauge stops climbing, and then we'll compare our numbers. And for me, I always like to start on the cylinder that I have the issue with. That way I start with the one that has the issue. I don't know if there's really any rhyme or reason behind that. That's just the way I like to start. So we got our hose in. Now we got our gauge. This is just a very simple, easy, quick connect. So we're locked in there. And now Ricky's gonna crank the engine and we're gonna watch the gauge and see what we get. Ready when you are. All right, so it looks like we have 45 or so PSI. That, my friends, is insanely, insanely low. Let's go ahead and do the other three and see what they read so we can compare them. Next is cylinder 1. We're at right about 190 PSI. Cylinder 3. Call that right about 190 as well, a little bit more. And cylinder 4. So cylinder 4 is a little bit lower than cylinders 1 and 3, but even still, that's way better compression than we had on cylinder 2. Next step, we are going to be doing a leak down test to see where that air is escaping from. First up, we need to find TDC. So we got this indicator here that's gonna rise up or go down depending on which way our piston's moving. All right, so our indicator has reached its top position. Now we know that piston is all the way up. You are gonna want it all the way up on compression, otherwise you've guaranteed that you will have air coming out. We wanna make sure that it's at TDC on compression. Next, we're gonna thread in a hose very similar to what we use for the compression tester. Here's our leak down tester. We have air pressure on one side, and then this is actually a super easy indicator. It'll show us whether we have high leak down, moderate leak down, or low leak down. Ideally, it would be almost zero. All right, so now we are going to hook up the cylinder leak down tester. We got the shop air hooked up. Ricky is calibrating it. And what we're looking at is we're looking at on this gauge, we're looking at it to read set, which in our case is gonna be right about 90 PSI. So now we're gonna take that unit and we're gonna hook it up to our hose. Now we can see our gauge reading right here is reading high, 90 or so % leak down, and I can feel that coming right out of the dipstick tube. Now, so you guys can see that air coming out, we're gonna use a piece of paper and just set it over the dipstick funnel. You can see right there, that's our leak. So that means we can't have an exhaust valve leak. Odds are it's not anything to do with the valve stem or valve stem seal. This is almost guaranteed going to be a bottom end mechanical engine issue. But we still have a little bit more digging to do. So next step really is probably gonna be to drop the oil pan and see if we can see any damage. There may be a chunk of metal laying in the oil pan. Either way, in a handful of minutes, we've swapped coils and plugs and confirmed it wasn't that. We've done compression and confirmed we actually had low compression on cylinder 2. Then we went ahead and hooked up our cylinder leak tester and confirmed for a fact that our compression was leaking out through the crankcase. So now we gotta find what the actual part failure is. We're going to take the oil pan down. Now, if we were just wanting to get a quick look, we can probably take this level sender off and just peek up in there. I don't know that we'll be able to see anything, and since we're suspecting engine damage anyway, the pan's just gonna come off. But if you did want to just take a super quick look, this is probably what I would remove to do that. So oil pan is off. Check out what we found. Chunk of metal. This is definitely a piston. This is the piece that was up in the oil pickup. We found the spring for the oil control ring. More bits of metal. Basically all of this was laying in the oil pan. Plus some more. So what we'll do next is we'll probably pull the windage tray off just to see if we can actually see the bottom of the piston for cylinder 2. Really, we don't need to because we already know we got severe bottom end engine damage. And truthfully, we probably would need to pull the oil pump drive off to gain proper access. But it's going to be interesting to see what we can see with that off of there and if it's going to help us out at all. There's also 2 levels of oil pan. There's that lower composite pan, and then there's the upper pan. In order to take that out, we actually have to separate the transmission to do that. So at that point, the engine's coming out anyway. We probably won't go that far until we get it on the stand. Then we can fully disassemble. All right, after, I don't know, an hour or so, maybe a little more than an hour, we got the engine out of the car. There's a transmission over there and on the stand. So next what we're gonna do is we are going to pull basically the cylinder head off and do a proper evaluation of the cylinder bore. That's really what we're going to be looking at. If we find any damage to that cylinder bore, you know, we'll have to make a determination on whether a new block is in order or that's something a machine shop can do. We won't know that until we get it apart. Not too bad time-wise for getting the engine out and on the stand. So next step, like I said, to get it all the way down and see just what we're going to need to get it fixed. Well, we have the engine stripped down and the cylinder head off. Let's go ahead and rotate the crankshaft around and remove this piston. Oh my goodness, look at the damage to this piston. This is some of our metal that had broken off. You can see our broken oil control ring. Obviously, catastrophic damage to our piston here. At this point, we know bare minimum we are going to need a piston. Let's look in the cylinder bore. Now, it's actually pretty challenging to film inside of this cylinder bore with a camera. What I'm looking for is gouging, scratching, places where there was extreme metal-to-metal contact. If we see that, we're going to have an issue with the bottom end. Now, there are some VW Audi cylinder bores that are actually coated. If that's the case, we're probably not going to want to hone that. I'll take my finger, I'll run it around the cylinder bore, check for any low spots or high spots for that matter. And so far, I really don't see anything. Now, there's a little bit of a mark on that cylinder bore facing cylinder 1 where we had our damage, but I really don't think that's enough to warrant replacing this engine block. Now, if we were building this engine for high horsepower, yeah, we would probably want to go ahead and do that. This is not a high horsepower application, so I think we're just going to run it this way. Now, you guys may have a couple of questions about what caused this damage and what's going on. Yes, this vehicle was tuned. We don't know exactly what company did the tune. It also didn't have any other supporting modifications like a downpipe or an intake, which leads me to guess, not know, but guess, that this was simply just a stage 1 tune. This also was not an issue of over rev because we have a DSG. And the DSGs have protections built in, whether they're programmed from the factory or whether they are tuned. All right, so there we go. This is super interesting stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed this walkthrough on figuring out exactly where our problem is. While this is not a common issue on these engines, this is also not the first one that I've seen. but I'm absolutely not sounding the panic alarm on this being a super common issue, similar to like the timing chain tensioner. All right, so I'm gonna wrap it up there. Questions, comments, drop them down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again next time.